Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, dear students, and welcome to our science class. So, today is Wednesday, and the date is the 10th of March 2021. We're learning about science methods or investigation. We know that scientists learn about the world around them. They look around them and ask questions about the world. They ask questions about things that goes around them. They wonder what happens if we did this? What happens if we did that? What can happen if we have more light? We need light, more light. Maybe we need more color of light. How can we get that? Okay, can we get a powerful red light or a powerful blue light or not? So they have a lot of questions. What do they do? First thing, they follow methods. We call these methods scientific methods. And as yesterday we talked, we said they make an investigation. An investigation is a plan to help you to learn about information or to solve a problem. So this is what is investigation. These methods are going to help you to make a plan or to follow, to answer, or to make your to solve your problem. You see, Dania, you are raising your hand.
Miss, what does a method mean?
A method, ways or steps. It's a way you can follow. Scientific method, yes, it's a steps that you can follow. Like examples, I'm going to tell you, number one, you have to do this. Number two, you have to do this. Number three,
Whoa.
yes.
Oh,
So
now I know what a method means.
very good, very good. If you have any question, like Dania, you can raise the hand, stop me, and I'm going to take your question, my lovely students. All right, so after thinking about the world, now it's time to follow the steps to learn what to do so we can find answers. All right. So, scientists may do experiments and do research, talk to each other until they can find the answer to our questions. But let me tell you again, a scientific method is a way to ask and answer scientific questions. So if you have science questions, this is how we can answer. We have 6 methods, or let me say 6 steps to follow so you can have your way to your answer. First thing to do is to ask a question. For example, if I put salt in my food, would the food be salty? Do you think the food will be salty? So I am asking a question. Let's see what comes next after asking a question. After asking a question, you must make your observation. Use your 5 senses to observe about your question or about your problem that you want to solve. You need to make your observation. Use your eyes to see, your nose to smell, your tongue to taste, your ears to hear, and your hand to touch or feel. So this is how you make observation. Excellent, Lamar. You use your 5 senses. I can see you explaining with me. Nice, thank you. Good job, Lamar. So after you ask a question, you make your observation, and then you can make a hypothesis. What do I mean? Making an observation first before a hypothesis. Let's take a look at this lady over here. Making observation is studying very closely into something and make sure of the things that you saw or hear or listen or whatever. So you make very specific studies. You come close to things and make sure of what you observe. And then based on the information you know, you are going to make a hypothesis. A hypothesis, it's an educated guess something that you learn. That's why you are able to answer this question. But let me tell you guys, it must be tested. So if a hypothesis, an educated guess, and it is about what will happen, make sure that your statement can be tested very well. So for example, yeah, Lamar, if I am telling you, if you are going to put some salt in the food, what is going to happen? Can you tell me, please? If you put salt in food, what is going to happen? Make a hypothesis about it. Lamar, open your mic, please. Yeah. Okay, if you are putting a salt in your food, what is going to happen? Can you make a hypothesis about it?
It's gonna be salty.
So it is an educated guess. You made an educated guess. Can I make sure if the food will be salty or not? Do you think, Lamar, I can make
You
sure?
can taste it with your tongue.
Very good. So I can make a test about it. I can cook food and put some salt on it and see what will happen. So you gave me your hypothesis. Your statement is built on if you put salt, then the food will be salty.
Salty.
Excellent. So you used the two magical words, if and then. If you are using if and then, so you are making a hypothesis. After making a hypothesis, maybe you would like to make an experiment. Look at this lady over here. She's in a lab. She's making experiment, making sure of my hypothesis, if it's correct or wrong. Does the result will support my hypothesis or wrong or not? So after making your statement, you need to design your experiment and make a test. When you make a test, then later, what do you need to do? So now she's making the test, she's making her experiment. Who can tell me, what are you going to do after making the test? After examining your hypothesis, what are you going to do? Yes, Dania.
Miss, my dad is a scientist and he works in a lab. He does a lot of science.
Excellent. Wow, that's cool. Okay, after making experiment here, Dania, what do you think he's going to do? He did a lot of experiment now. What should he do next?
He should
Analyze data or collect the information. Data means information, so he needs to collect the information that he gets from where? From the experiment. Now you are getting the result. You will take a look at the data, the information about your experiment, and you will see, does my hypothesis correct or wrong? Does the experiment matches my hypothesis or not? So when I already make my own experiment about the salt and food, I had, Yadania, 3 plates of food, and plate number 1, I added only 1 spoon. In the second plate, I added 2 spoons. But in the third plate, I added 3 spoons. Now give me a hypothesis about it. Which plate will think it's gonna be salty?
I think the second one.
I added only 2 spoons, or the third one that I added 3 spoons?
2 spoons.
Okay, she's saying that 2 spoons is enough to be salty. Okay, after making the experiment, I'm gonna try them, the 3 of them, and then I will give you my information. I will give you the data. I will tell you that yes, you are correct. The second plate tastes salty enough, but the third one is too salty. So these are my information. So your hypothesis was correct. The more salt you add to food, the more salty you feel in your tongue.
Okay.
Yes, excellent. Thank you, Dania, for helping. Okay, guys, what comes next after collecting the data? After collecting the data, you are going to share the information. You need to draw a conclusion or draw the result of your experiment. You need to tell the people around you about your experiment and share the conclusion that you reached at the end of your experiment. After you finish your investigation, your conclusion comes last. So I was wondering about salt and food. Now I know all about salt and food. This is how you make a conclusion. You can draw it on a board, or you can draw it on a paper, or you can just write it down. All right, girls. Now, can you tell me what are the 6 steps to follow in our scientific method so you can learn more about the world around you or to solve a problem? When you are making an investigation, ya Marioma, you are making a plan to find out information or to solve a problem. What is the first thing to do? Do you remember?
A question.
Excellent. You need to ask a question. Then after asking a question, Ya Lamar, what do you need to do after asking a question, Ya Lamar? You need to use your 5 senses to do something. You use your 5 senses to do what, Ya Lamar?
To investigate, to smell or feel or see.
Okay, we call it something. Do you remember? What do we call it?
Observe.
Excellent, yes.
Observation.
Yes, after asking a question, you need to observe, making an observation. Very well, very well. After you make an observation, you can make a statement and it will be tested, Ya Batul. What is it? What do you call this statement? It will start with if and it will end with then. Hi, Batul.
Yes, miss.
Okay, when you make a statement and it is testable, you are forming a hypo.
A hypo.
Read it. A hypo.
Okay. A hypo. This is not quiz.
It is a hypothesis. Number 3 is forming a hypothesis. When you form a hypothesis, Ya Batul, is it testable or not?
It's like testable.
Yes, you can test this information. It will start with if. If we added more salt, then the food will be salty. So this is a hypothesis. What should you do next, Ya Jayda? What should you do next?
Yes.
If you are having your hypothesis, what should you do next? You have to make sure of it. How can you make sure of it? You do an X. You make what? Do you make a game?
No.
What do you make? An experiment. So what do you need to do?
Experiment.
Excellent. When you do an experiment, ya Jayda, when you do an experiment, what do you need to collect after that?
Analyze data.
Excellent. You need to analyze data, which means you need to collect the information you learned from this experiment. Excellent. Finally, what is the ending of this method? Finally, how do you end this method? With what? Who can tell me? How do you end this method? Yes, ya Maryuma. Yes, ya Maryuma.
Solve a problem.
Okay, solving a problem or drawing a conclusion. So finally, you are going to draw a conclusion and tell all about your experiment. You solved already your problem right now. Thank you very much, ya Maryuma. Thank you very much. All right, girls, we're gonna stop the slide and gonna stop share right now. Tell me, do you have any question about our lesson today? Was it clear? Okay, let's stop the recording and take your questions before we leave. Bye-bye recording.